Mariners win 6-2. They take the second of the three games against the Angels. They improve to 31-32 on the season. Let's talk about how it happens. Mariners don't have a whole heck of a lot of luck until the third inning, that is. Julio Rodriguez homers to center. I honestly thought it was later than the third that Julio hit that homer. Oh well. 2-0 Mariners and a absolutely smoked homer from Julio. Teoscar Hernandez singles home Ty France to make it 3-0. Bottom of the third, Bryan Woo, you throw a slider down low to Shohei Ohtani. You take a little bit of a risk, and Ohtani crushes it with a runner on to make it 3-2. But Tom Murphy fights off a single to score Eugenio Suarez, who had a monster game, to make it 4-2. J.P. Crawford, who also had a monster game, singles in A.J. Pollock to make it 5-2. And Suarez singles Teoscar Hernandez in the seventh to provide some nice insurance to make it 6-2. There's not a lot of negatives here. Dylan Moore really struggled. Over 5 with 3 strikeouts. It happens. Tom Murphy, outside of the one hit, was pretty bad. Kelnick had a rough game, but does get a double and just missed a homer. Ty France, not the best game. Teoscar, a few 1 for 4, 1 for 5s. We're not going to complain about those today, folks. Not today. On the pitching side, I don't think there's any really negatives. I will say that I only think Bryan Woo was okay today. I know the line is better than okay. He has 7 strikeouts, and look, it's a Herculean improvement over what he did against Texas. Worse lineup, but better. And it's too bad that he doesn't get credited for the win because of a silly rule that says you have to go 5 innings, wins and losses. I know I just did a whole pitcher thing where I gave you a bunch of wins, losses for the greatest Mariner pitchers of all time. And yikes. Silly rule. It would have been nice to give him that dub, but instead Gabe Speier gets it for striking out Shohei Ohtani on a pitch. That was actually a ball. Umpiring was terrible tonight. Just awful. Behind the plate is what I'm talking about here, but man, they're just not good enough. We have something. I'm not. But I thought Wu was just okay. Still caught a lot of the plate. Got away with a few pitches. Secondary stuff was better, certainly. Encouraging enough that you certainly keep him in the rotation. I don't know what your other option is here, other than with some off days they can't skip guys. And speaking of that, well, we can talk about that in just a second. Offensively, this is one of the better games. I know they only scored 6 runs, but this was a complete effort from the lineup, folks. I complained about J.P. Crawford on the Twitter machine, and I complained it yesterday. Fantastic game, 4 for 5. Sees some pitches. But was aggressive too. And I think he's going to have to be a little more aggressive than he's been. Like his on-base percentage, his OPS, his on-base percentage, I did want to mention that first. No edit button, folks. His on-base percentage that's moving to the leadoff spot coming into today was 308. And his OPS was 611, which tells you that he's not exactly crushing the baseball by any stretch of the imagination. Went up quite a bit today. And gets that OPS up to 700. Really nice game from him, and they need it. Julio, 3 hits, the 2-run homer. Strikes out on a check swing, but I thought it was an excellent game from him. And Eugenio Suarez was fantastic. Nice to see him rewarded. I meant to mention this last night, but Suarez stung the baseball a few times last night, Friday, and just didn't get rewarded for it. And it was nice to see a little blooper get in there. That's how baseball works sometimes. The stinging baseball goes right to a guy, or a guy makes a great play, and then you get a little bleeder. The Mariners had a few of those. Like Tom Murphy's hit wasn't hit hard by any stretch. Suarez, I think Teoscar's single wasn't exactly stung, but they count. They certainly count. To get 16 hits and strike out 13 times, that's not easy. That's not easy. And sure, you have some BABIP luck. Sure. But they've, haven't had a lot of BABIP luck this year. Haven't earned a lot of BABIP luck, but in case you don't know what I'm talking about, BABIP stands for batting average on balls in play. You can look up how a lot of luck is involved in that stat sometimes, but yeah. This was a solid win. This was the type of win that can give you some optimism, and then you remember that every time that they seem to have a win like this, and they're not playing a team as terrible as Oakland, they just haven't followed it up. They have not. I have to say, I really like a decision that Scott Service made today. And I don't know if it was all Service, but I really like the decision by the Mariners. Bryce Miller is being pushed back to Monday, and Logan Gilbert is going to start on Sunday. So this is a good decision for a few reasons. Number one, Logan Gilbert's going to be pitching on full rest because of the off day. That's huge. That's great. And you're also going to, number one, push Miller back to, in my personal opinion, a weaker opponent, although the Marlins are playing really well right now. But it's an extra day of rest for him. That extra day of rest can be awfully nice for a starting pitcher, and it paid good dividends for Gilbert and Kirby last year when they gave him rest when they could, because they were fresh down the stretch. I think people sometimes forget Kirby's last couple of starts in the majors weren't so good, but he was really good down the stretch in that time where they really needed him to be good to help cement that wild card spot. I like that decision a lot. And it gives you the best chance, I think, all due respect to Bryce Miller, who I like long term, and I think he could be a solid option for them in the short term too, even though these last two starts have just been horrific. Horrific and not bad luck. Horrific. He's pitched poorly. It gives you your best chance of getting this series win, and I think they need it. I think there's a pretty big difference here between a 3-5 road trip and 2-6. Partially, it does. There's this is all this stuff is you can. Who knows how much validity there is to it, is what I'm trying to say. But hey, going back home at 500 and winning 2 in a row, winning that final series of the road trip, knowing you got the split 2 in San Diego. Like, if you would have taken one of two, I personally, I thought 4-4 would have been an okay road trip. Now, there's no way to call this a successful road trip no matter what happens tomorrow. They could win 186 to -2, and it's not a successful road trip. You go 3-5, it's not a successful road trip. It's not. But 4-4 could have been a successful road trip. And at 3-5, I think you can't call this a disaster anymore. 2-6, it's pretty darn close to a disastrous road trip. Pretty darn close. That's 1/10 of your road games this year is on this trip. And they haven't looked good for most of it. But they have looked good in 2 of the last 4. We're trying to stay optimistic, folks. Man, Julio just absolutely clobbered that baseball. It wasn't a good pitch. It was a changeup kind of right down the middle of the plate, but really like seeing him drive the baseball to left field. I know, I'll use the whole field, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. It's great to see him just take advantage of mistakes and just mollywop them. I mean, he's so strong that he could definitely take the ball out to any part of the field. There's no question about that. But there is something nice seeing about your superstar taking the ball out in the field. Okay. I almost forgot to talk about it again. I seem to do this with pitching performances for some reason, and that's weird for me because I was a pitcher and I like pitching. But I almost forgot to talk about, holy crap on a cracker, Andres Munoz, you are stupid good. What a difference having that guy back is for this bullpen. Now, look, when you're getting shellacked like they have for a lot of these games, it doesn't do you much good. But the stuff he showed tonight is a very friendly reminder. Like, look, he hasn't given up a run this year, so it's not like he's been bad. I do think prior to the injury, he didn't look great. And I think one of the reasons he didn't look great is because he was injured. But that was a reminder of this guy having the type of stuff that can make him the best reliever in baseball. And he sure showed it tonight. And I got to give service credit to great usage of Munoz tonight. Great usage. Having him face the top of the lineup and getting that 2-3-4 of Trout, Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon. Massive. Massive. And he dominated those dudes. Whew. Filthy. And then Seawald, it was nice to see him not give up a run from a fantasy perspective, just because, in these 4 or 5 run leads when he pitches, there's been a tendency to, give up a run or two, but not tonight. Not tonight, even though he was throwing the ball down the middle of the plate for a lot of it. Was a little nervous when he got hit, but looked fine. Ends up getting a strikeout to end it. Good win. Good win. Oh, Topa was good. Gabe Spire, he does get the strikeout. Oh, it shouldn't have been, folks. That's a ball. And what a difference that makes. Like, look, we're Mariner fans here, right? Or you could be Angels fans who are watching this and mad. And I totally get it. It's justified. Because what a difference it is. Because it was a 5-2 game. The runners on second and third, 2 outs, 3-2 pitch. Ohtani shows a tremendous eye taking that pitch. A lot of guys swing at that pitch and, either ground out meekly or don't make contact, or maybe pop the ball up into left field. But Ohtani lays off it, and it should be bases loaded with Gabe Spire, a lefty, pitching to Mike Trout, a righty. And instead of that, what do we get? We get the better. And I'm not going to complain about it too much because it certainly made my grandma happy. But it's a problem in baseball, folks. And it's not fun. Now, it wasn't like so far off the plate that it's like, what the heck is going on here? Robot gets that. Or Otani's able to challenge that. And it's a ball. It's a ball. Tough to complain too much as a Seattle Mariner fan, as someone who wants the Mariners to do well. But a neutral party or a fan of the Angels has every reason to be. Yeah, it worked out. It worked out. It worked out. It worked out for the guys that we want it to work out for, but it's a problem. I'm talking in circles here, but so yeah, tomorrow Logan Gilbert against Griffin Canning. I think it's a 1:00 game. Yeah, pretty sure. Again, I think a series win here is pretty big. Might be a series loss here is bigger than a series win. In terms of like how you feel. Because there's just something about a 2-6 road trip that is icky. Icky. And again, Miami's good. Miami's got some good players. Luis Arias is hitting like 404 the last time I checked. Brian De La Cruz is one of the most underrated outfielders in baseball. Jesus Luzardo is pitching well. Luckily, I would have liked to have seen Yuri Perez pitch in Seattle. That would have been fun. But yeah, this homestand's pretty big. We'll talk about it as it comes up. But Miami and Chicago, I think the Mariners are the more talented team in those games. And then after that, you go to New York and Baltimore. Oh boy. Oh boy. So yeah, good win. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Sports Sometimes Podcast. Still haven't lined up a guest for this week, but we do that twice a month. It's a fun little program. I'd really appreciate you guys checking that out. Go and rating that 5 stars on Apple. I'd really appreciate it. Even if you don't listen, I don't care. Give me those 5 stars, baby. But I'd appreciate if you listen. Don't lie and say that you like it if you haven't listened to it. But lie if you listen to it and don't like it. That's fine. Some lies are okay. That's one of them. And yeah, and don't forget, check out that greatest hits. Comment, like, subscribe. As soon as we get to 500, someone is winning a Cal Rally autograph rookie card numbered to 25 orange. It's sick. It is an absolutely disgustingly beautiful card. I don't have it in my possession right now, but I will. And I think everybody knows that I'm good for this stuff, except for the one guy who I need to mail a DK Metcalf jersey. I'm so sorry if you're watching this, Nick. I'm so sorry. I will get it to you as soon as possible. I just don't have the shipping stuff for it. But yeah, you're probably not even watching this, but just in case, I'm sorry, Nick. Good win. Good win. And they need to get another win tomorrow. That's a text message telling me that this video went too long.